5 hours earlier, before anyone in Moscow or Astrakhan knew what was coming, 14 drones armed with explosives equal to 40 kilos of TNT, each lifted off from launch sites deep inside Ukraine. Their departure was rapid, disciplined, and precise, like a squadron of invisible bombers climbing into the night sky. They weren't ordinary drones. They were built for one mission only: to fly hundreds of kilometers, navigate hostile airspace, and strike a single target with devastating accuracy. That target was a Russian cargo vessel moored in the Caspian Sea. For days, Ukrainian and Allied satellites had been locked onto it, observe. Every movement, every shift at anchor, every attempt to mask its presence. The ship's captain, confident he was far beyond the reach of Ukraine's weapons, went about his duties, unaware that his every move was being tracked in real time from space. When the signal came to launch, it came via those satellites and the drones answered. The vessel in question was no ordinary freighter. Displacing 4,900 gross tons, it had been loaded to the brim with military cargo. On board sat nearly 5,000 tons of Iranian-supplied material, components for Shahed 136 and Shahed 238 drones, electrical systems, avionics modules, gyroscope sensors, navigation ewers, and crates of 122 rocket ammunition. In battlefield terms, it represented weeks of Russian drone strikes, hundreds of drones waiting to be assembled in a war chest of firepower meant to terrorize Ukrainian cities and frontline positions. The ship was the Port Olia 4, a 110-meter cargo vessel operating under the Russian flag. Its captain had chosen his anchorage carefully. Instead of docking at Russia's Olia port on the Caspian Sea, he anchored in the Volga-Don shipping canal, a narrow inland stretch. To him, it felt like a cautious choice, a way to reduce exposure. The Caspian felt safe. After all, it lay 800 kilometers from Ukraine's front lines. Who could reach him here? But Ukrainian intelligence had been preparing for this exact moment. The timing of the shipment, the route it would take, even its anchorage patterns had been mapped in advance. The operation relied on multiple layers of detection. Japanese. Commercial satellites using synthetic aperture radar provided the first key data. Unlike optical satellites that rely on clear skies, SAR can see through clouds, track ships at night, and detect vessels even when their transponders are switched off. Analysts compared radar reflection hull shapes and anchor chain positions, confirming the Port Olia 4 was waiting offshore. Satellite passes stacked over time revealed its drift angle and anchorage. Window more than enough, time for a carefully orchestrated strike. Signal intelligence formed the second layer. Communications, silence, and radar. Emissions showed the ship was operating in a low-profile mode, trying not to draw attention. But that silence betrayed it. Ukrainian planners realized they had a window for a multi-axis, single-wave attack. The objective was clear: do not detonate the volatile cargo. Instead, sink the ship in a controlled manner, submerging thousands of drone parts and rockets beneath the Caspian Sea. For this mission, Ukraine selected long-range kamikaze UAVs based on the UJ-26ER platform. Built with composite airframes, their radar signatures were minimal, cruising at 150-180 km/h. They were fast enough to cover long distances, yet slow enough to fly beneath radar detection. Guidance was provided by GNSS-ENS hybrid navigation, backed by electro-optical confirmation during terminal approach. Even if GPS was jammed, the drones would still find their mark. Warheads were 40 keysome fragmentation, some semi-penetrating chosen to tear open deck plates, rupture ventilation shafts, fracture beams, and puncture waterline strips. With extended fuel capacity, the UJ-26ER could fly up to 1,200 kilometers, easily reaching the Caspian. 14 drones were assigned, 12 attackers, 2 relays. The attack plan was divided into 4 axes: stern, starboard, bowport, midsection, and diversion drones ready to block rescue attempts. The drones launched, flying low just 20 to 60 meters above the sea, blending into radar clutter. 2 flew higher as relays, maintaining command and visuals. To port, security radars, their small composite bodies, appeared as harmless echoes. When the first drone struck, its warhead blew open thin plates around the engine ventilation shaft. Fire spread. Systems faltered. Seconds later, the second drone hit the starboard waterline, unleashing, flooding. The third and fourth drones tore into the midsection, fracturing the hull. The ship began listing. Alarms blared. The captain declared an emergency. Tugboats and a patrol craft scrambled. But they were too late. More drones slammed into the bow, midsection, and shafts. Electrical systems failed. Backup batteries engaged. Flooding increased. Fire spread. The crew abandoned ship as smoke poured from the stern. 2 drones were shot down, but the rest completed their mission. Penetrating strikes ripped open the hull, worsened listing, and overwhelmed pumps. Barrier blasts prevented rescue boats from reaching the vessel. Damage cascaded, power loss, pump failure, uncontrolled flooding, structural collapse. The ship was mortally wounded. It capsized and sank. Satellite images. Capsized and sank. Satellite images later confirmed its resting place beneath the Caspian. Russia tried to downplay the incident, but leaked images and satellite analyses exposed the truth. The vessel had been carrying Iranian UAV, components and ammunition, and it had been destroyed. The loss was massive. With 5,000 tons of drone parts, the ship carried enough equipment for hundreds of Shahed drones. Each Shahed has all 40-kilo warhead, amounting to more than 12,000 kilo of explosives. Without avionics and navigation modules, Russia couldn't assemble drones at scale. The strike didn't just sink cargo. It sank weeks of planned bombardment. Strategically, the attack shattered assumptions. The Caspian was no longer safe. Insurance markets reacted. LS blackouts increased. Ships altered routes. Vulnerabilities multiplied. Diplomatically, ripples spread. 4. The first time, the Caspian was a contested battle space. For Ukraine, the strike was a masterstroke. It forced Moscow to rethink logistics and defensive postures. By sinking one vessel, Ukraine disrupted the tempo of Russia's air campaign. For Russia, the implications were severe. Without Iranian parts, Shahed drone production slowed. Nightly barrages weakened. Supply chains felt exposed. The sinking of the Port Olia 4 wasn't just the loss of a ship. It was a psychological blow, a logistical rupture, and proof that no rear area was beyond Ukraine's reach. In modern war, distance means little compared to intelligence, precision, and resolve. And now every ship bound for Russia sails under a cloud of fear, never knowing when the next drone swarm might appear.